This is a crazy, crazy situation. But I believe it was Sunday? Might have been Monday. Well, November 19th. Ron Jeremy, the former porn guy, is going to be released by the state of California to a private residence after a judge on Friday approved a request, according to the Los Angeles Times, in emails between case stakeholders seen by the Times. Jeremy was granted medical release on the grounds of deteriorating health. This comes after a court declared him mentally incompetent to stand trial for more than 30 counts of felony sexual assault. He apparently suffers from severe dementia. He was ordered under the supervision of a conservator. He's remained incarcerated in a men's jail in L.A., waiting admittance into a state mental hospital for treatment. He has seen a dramatic decline in his health for much of the case against him. He was indicted on 34 charges of sexual assault in 2021 for crimes committed over a 23-year span. And basically, he's been in jail, and now all of a sudden they're like, oh, let him out. Are they letting him out because they basically know he's probably got maybe 6 months to live or something? Because I know that all the victims all over Twitter are just like, why'd they let this guy out? As a legal person, what is your view on this? Because I am just fascinated by the fact that essentially they basically are saying, we're just letting him go.
Well, they're not really letting him go. My daughter's a public defender in the federal system in L.A.
Yeah.
And she has a prominent, I don't want to get into the situation, but has a prominent murderer who just got declared incompetent. He can theoretically go to trial if he ever gets competent.
Yeah.
But really, if the guy's really in bad shape, first of all, he's not loosed on the population.
Yeah.
Her client's going to be in a institution. It's just an institution that has a lot of beds and thermometers. That's all. So it doesn't offend me if he's truly incompetent. And in some cases, being ruled incompetent is worse than getting ruled guilty. You can get out earlier sometimes if you're guilty. I think the person who shot Ronald Reagan, how long was he in? In treatment. So it's essentially in jail. I mean, he was essentially in jail for 30 years.
Yeah.
And so this guy's going to die most likely die in, call it care or treatment, but it's really incarceration. It just is another name for it. Yeah. So that doesn't offend me. What offends me if someone were to game the system and get out on some weird thing and start walking around the streets. Yeah. This guy ain't walking around the streets. Another thing is, if he got a regular jail population, he'd probably get killed by the inmates.
Well, that too. And I remember like several years before all this came down with Ron, I bumped into him at the porn convention in Vegas, and he was across the street at a hotel because he wasn't allowed at the convention, but he was at another event, and I seen him, and he seen me, and he said hi to me, and then shortly after that, his like manager or handler or whatever came up to him, and he's like, "Hey, Ron, we've got the room ready," and he's like, "What room?" And like he had no clue who this guy was. And shortly after, the guy's like, "I'm your manager. I drove you here from the airport." And then they finally got his memory jogged and got him down the hallway. And then shortly after all that, they indicted him and everything. And I'm like, he's never going to stand trial. That's never going to happen.
Yeah, and something, he's going to die in treatment, if you want to call it that, treatment. Yeah. So much for that. That's all.
Well, before we let you go, John, bring us up to speed on all your projects, my friend.
Well, I've been writing a lot of articles, my latest one about Biden and Xi, but everything gets down to, Jiggy, about my book Postgate, because I think one of the problems we've got today is, once again, the media are not reporting the facts. Yeah. We have facts about what Biden is likely doing in Taiwan. He's probably giving in to Xi right now as part of his need to be seen as a strong leader and beg for a photo op. So what I see is we have more appeasement. We have a situation in which the media will not report how terribly incompetent Biden is, and it's not just incompetence, it's harming America. If he just sat there and did nothing, he would be a much better president than he is now. And that, to me, it's about time. And you find these nice supporters of Israel who are very sincere journalists. And I want to say to them, don't look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. You're the guys that allowed this to happen to Israel. If you would have been square and reported, for example, the Hunter Biden laptop, none of this would have happened. You wouldn't have Blinken in there, and you would have somebody in there that was protecting Israel's interests. Now you don't have anybody protecting Israel. You don't have anybody protecting Taiwan. And, it's not a good situation for our world. And it gets back to the media. And that's why I love coming on your show, and I love coming on Dan's, Jiggy, because you guys know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about, and you're trying to spread the word of common sense here.
Well, John, I appreciate you making time for us today. Thanks for staying a little longer than usual, but thanks for doing this, John.
Great. Good seeing you again, Jake. Take care.
Appreciate
Dan,
it.
Thanks, John. Take care.
Have a great Thanksgiving, John.
See y'all.
Thank you. There he goes. That is John O'Connor, and he joins us today here on our big program. So, okay, so we've got 10, 15 minutes here left to discuss, I guess, whatever Dan wants to discuss, because we don't have our guest. He as they say, he basically bailed on us. It's what it comes down to.
I want to ask IQ a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Did you do any research on this guy?
Sorry.
Did you do any research on this guy?
Yeah.
Well, very little. I mean, the guy is a black guy who was a Christian to start with. He converted to Islam, which is not unusual.
Yeah.
Almost 90% of the criminals in the justice system in America who are imprisoned in America convert to Islam.
Yes.
And many times people ask me, why do those people convert to Islam? So I tell them, it's simple. The Quran is music to the ears of any criminal. Why? Because when you become a Muslim, you are entitled to murder, rape, enslave, plunder, and do whatever you want against all human beings who are not Muslim. It's sanctified by Allah. So of course you convert. Of course you convert. It's sanctified by Allah. So you can rape and murder and do whatever you want to others who are not Muslims. Are you with me? Only to others who are not Muslims. That's why the Imam didn't come. I would have crucified him.
Oh, he was an imam too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
addition to being
Imam.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look, all you have to do is ask an Imam. I was going to ask him.
Hey, that's an idea for a television show. Ask the imam.
Yes. It will be a fantastic one. One question, only one. That's all you have to ask. Is Allah the same as the God of Abraham, Moses, and Jesus? This destroys Islam completely. No matter how he answers it, destroys Islam completely.
So IQ, what's happening in Europe? Are they still supporting Hamas, or have things changed?
Let me explain something to you. I didn't want to interfere in your talks with John O'Connor. He's an amazing man. You have a dysfunctional state in America. You have no justice system. I've been saying that for 14 years.
Yeah.
You have no equality. Trump is the only one who is sane in the whole of Congress. I mean, the members of Congress. The only one. All the others are completely bankrupt. You have a justice system which is gone. You have education system which is below zero. Look what you have produced. They paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to have university students coming out supporting Hamas. But Hamas is not against the Jews only. They're not against Israel only. They declared publicly, only recently, that after they finish with Israel, Europe and America are next. And yet these degenerate human mutants, I want you to remember this expression, these demonstrators, they are irrational, degenerate human mutants. They have no thinking. They have absolutely no brains, although they studied with the highest universities in America. What have they produced? Garbage. That's all you have. You should be scared shit. Sorry, you should be scared crap.
Yes.
That these people are going to be the new leaders of America. Can you believe that?
Yes.
They are going to be the new leaders of America with an IQ less than 0. It's scary, I swear to you. And the same thing in Europe. The same thing. Why? Because most of the universities in Europe and most of the universities in America, they have been supplied by hundreds of millions of petrodollars from Arab and Muslim countries. They subsidized them. They created places for educating on Islam, which is not the true Islam.
Yep.
It's the whitewashed Islam. They brought professors whose total knowledge of Islam is also 0. 0, I'm not kidding with you. But that's what you have. In Europe and America, that's what you have. And it's a catastrophe. And in the short run, you'll be paying a huge price. You know, among the hundreds of thousands of people who came to America illegally, tens of thousands of them are Hamas supporters and Hamas operatives. Tens of thousands of them. You will have acts of terror that will dwarf 9/11. Don't take my word for it. We'll just wait and see.
Well, as we wrap up here, let's start with Dan. Thanksgiving is on Thursday. What is your Thanksgiving message? And instead of doing plugs this week, we'll have each of you guys do a Thanksgiving message.
Thanksgiving is a time when all Americans should be aware of their friends, but most important, family. And we should be sensitive to families that are sick or injured. And if we have an opportunity to go spend some time with them, to share, break bread together, and just have some good times, that's what Thanksgiving should be about. It's not political. It's overeat, have a good time, drive safely, and remember that they're your family and take care of them.
That's awesome. So IQ, what is your Thanksgiving message, sir?
Educate yourself. Believe me, if you don't educate yourself of what's happening around the world, you lose everything, because by not educating yourself, you ignore facts and reality. And yet facts and reality are facing you 24/7. And people are missing it. People are missing it. In the discussion with John O'Connor,
yes,
everything is in front of you. Hamas is a terrorist organization. It's a terrorist organization, but it's a terrorist